what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, thanks for checking out my stuff, and if you like my content, then make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and you can also follow me on Twitter at SuperHiveDC. Don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up if you like it, and head over to my channel to check out anything that you've missed over the past few days. So today I want to talk about something that I think we're all going to be speculating on and wondering about up until we actually watch the movie, because I don't think it's something that we're going to know much about besides just like speculation. And I think it's also something we shouldn't know a lot about because it's something that should not be spoiled, and that is, how is Superman really going to be resurrected? Obviously in the theatrical version, so much was changed, cut out, shortened, dumbed down. So this was something that I was really looking forward to. It was probably one of the most important things about Justice League after BVS. They was supposed to, we're expecting it to be epic, and like, how are they going to do it? What are they going to do? What does Zack Snyder have in mind? And obviously we didn't get that completely. I think there might be some things that are somewhat similar, of course, but again, things were dumbed down. Even certain things like dialogue were changed in the movie. So, sorry, kids are playing. And so, I think, again, we're not going to know much about this because we shouldn't until we see the movie. I don't think it's anything that Zack Snyder is going to, like, give us much information about. I don't think it's something we should see in a trailer, and unless it's something that doesn't really spoil anything. Like we've already seen him when he's up in the sky and Lois sees him. We've seen that. That's obviously part to do with his resurrection and doesn't spoil anything. But just want to go through some things that we kind of know about, things that we can use to kind of speculate a little bit. So, of course, at the end of BVS, we see the dirt rising from the coffin. And that's how the movie ends. Obviously, that is used to send the, that's used to show us that, okay, in some way, yes, he's dead, but he's not dead in the way that like a human would die, and that's just it, Obviously, his body is regenerating somehow at maybe like an extremely slow rate. Zack Snyder had mentioned in one of his interviews, when he was asked about the long hair and the beard, he was saying that to him, maybe he might have some facial hair. I guess that's possible. Not in his movie, but he means like, just in general, it's possible that maybe he could have facial hair when he is resurrected. But he doesn't really like the idea of like long hair and stuff like that, because he doesn't feel like a Kryptonian on Earth especially would decay at the same rate as like a human, right? Because obviously they are super beings, and it would take him a lot longer for that to happen than it would to like a human, if our hair keeps growing and stuff after we die for a while. So that's why he didn't go with the long hair and the beard. But that dirt rising is supposed to symbolize like, okay, something's going on with his body, right? Maybe it's just really slow, right? So that's obviously, supposed to lead into, okay, at some point in Justice League, he's going to be resurrected, but how? Like, so we know that in the theatrical version, we just saw Cyborg and Flash digging up, going to get, Clark's body, right? And they have like this little banter and stuff like that. But in some of the images that we've seen from Zack, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and the Flash are all there at the graveyard where Clark is buried. So it's not only Flash and Cyborg that go to get him, but it looks like they're probably still the ones who actually exhume his body, because we've seen that picture where Diana and Arthur are hanging out at the van. So obviously that was changed, and Then, of course, we've seen the hologram of what we now know to be confirmed as Superman. I know there was some debate a long time ago whether it was Supergirl, Superman, but we know it's Superman, and it's Cyborg projecting an image, this hologram of Superman, while they're trying to figure out, should we bring him back? How can we bring him back? If we do, they're trying to figure this out, right? So that's obviously another part that wasn't in the theatrical version. Them trying to figure out, well, they had this little dialogue part in the theatrical version where they're kind of arguing about, should we bring him back? But we know that that was reshoots. So what is their conversation really like? What is Cyborg able to tell them through his, through his knowledge, his technology that he has? What is he able to tell them about Superman and his physiology? And they don't really know anything. Like, I'm pretty sure they don't know that, like, the sun regenerates him and that he gets his power from this. Like, I don't think they know any of that. So they wouldn't know how they could bring him back or what kind of state his body is in. So what is Cyborg able to tell them through this projection of Superman? Then we've also seen the picture, which has now been removed from Zack's Vero. Well, I can't find it anywhere on Zack's Vero, but it was an image that he shared of Flash pushing the coffin through the ship. So we know they go to the ship, of course. And then, of course, it says the ship can feel his presence. And so we know that's like the suits are turning around like they do when he walks through the ship. They kind of just turn, like, appear. They turn around and present themselves to him. Even though he's dead, the ship can still sense him. So, of course, we didn't see that either. And side note, we're also going to see the open pod from Man of Steel and when they walk through the ship again too. So I think the ship is probably going to play a much bigger part in his resurrection than just putting him in the fluid and having to give it an electric charge to bring him back to life. In BVS, when Lex overrides the ship to get information from the IT, or the AI, I'm sorry, not the IT, the AI. When he overrides it to get information, it says that it holds the information of, like, the history and knowledge of 10,000 worlds or whatever it says. So this ship has a lot of information, and I think that it's going to maybe, we know that Cyborg obviously still has some kind of interaction with the ship, but we don't really get that in detail in the theatrical version. We know that he creates a key to fit, since they don't have Clarks anymore. Kids are getting out of hand. So when Cyborg, taps into the ship, what does he learn? Like, he's obviously going to be able to get all of this information that's in the ship. Is it going to tell them that, or maybe Jor-El shows up? Technically in Man of Steel, he was kind of like destroyed in a way by Zod, his digital, his conscious digital form. However, Zack had mentioned before, I think during the Man of Steel watch party, that, like, maybe he's still hiding in there somewhere. Like, I'm pretty sure Jor-El has, like, a way that even if it seems like he's been deleted from the ship, that he could probably still somehow be, uploaded again, or he's still in there somewhere, and, like, he's kind of, like, not as maybe not detected as much, if that makes sense. So maybe he shows up and maybe he kind of tells them about Clark's physiology. He needs, UV rays. He needs sunlight. He needs this. He needs that. Like, his body's in this state. His cells are regenerating. Whatever. Even if it's not Jor-El, I think the ship is going to tell them somehow. They're going to learn what Clark needs to be regenerated completely. And also, speaking of like the mother box and them saying, okay, the ship was fried when, you know, Lex brought his creature to life and blah, blah, blah. We need some kind of electric charge to charge the box. They have Flash, you know, all you need to touch it the second it hits the water. They don't explain how they would know that. I guess you could assume that when Cyborg taps into the ship, he learns that. But they don't explain any of that. It's just very fast, you know. When asked about this, there was a fan that asked on the He Has Yet to Rise post from quite a while back, that has also been removed from Zack's Vero as far as I can see. I haven't been able to find it either. There was a question. Someone asked, so wait, what we saw with Flash touching the mother box with electricity is not how he comes back? Or is this a dream? He still has the scar from Doomsday and wearing the suit, but they buried him in a normal suit. Okay, I'm pretty sure, or is this a dream referring to when we see the He Has Yet to Rise image, right? When he's dying from Doomsday. And Zack Snyder replied, I don't know what you saw. And we know, of course, Zack Snyder hasn't seen the theatrical version and probably never will. So he doesn't know how they portrayed, well, he probably has an idea now after that question, how they resurrected Superman. And so obviously that's not what they do. Obviously that's not Zack's plan. We know that he probably, like, somehow something causes him, of course, to shoot out of the ship because, again, we saw the image of him above, floating in the air when Lois sees him. So again, the ship plays a big part. I think also because of his confusion, when he comes out and he's fighting the League. Obviously that wasn't reshot. There's some parts here and there that were, like the dialogue, of course, because Henry Cavill's face is normal, and we've seen from previs that yes, he is going to fight the League. They kept that, but again, I think, you know, obviously when there's some parts of dialogue, his mouth was botched, so that part was reshot. But him fighting the League, I think, is also going to be longer. Well, of course, because there's parts from trailers that were cut out that we didn't see in the theatrical version. So he's very confused during that fight, but they don't explain why. All they have is this dialogue where, you know, a line where Diana says he's confused, he doesn't know who he is, and Cyborg's like, he's scanning us, you know, and they're kind of like, what? They don't explain how Cyborg knows what he's doing. They also don't explain why Clark is so confused and what's going through his mind that's making him fight them. Even though he doesn't know who Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg are. If he was in his right mind, he would recognize Diana or Wonder Woman, whatever. But even though he wouldn't know who these other people are, he wouldn't just be trying to like fight them and kill them potentially. And he looks confused. Like, the expression on his face is that he looks confused. Also, the terrible reshot CGI when Cyborg is like, you know, my armless defense system, it's stronger since the interface, I can't control it. Obviously, okay, from behind the scenes with Zack, well, all the behind the scenes stuff we've seen is mostly with Zack Snyder, but the part behind the scenes, something does happen where Cyborg's defense system blasts at Superman. But they don't explain, you know, what's going on with his tech. They don't explain what it is that he's able to do to Superman, which obviously it's pretty powerful because Superman is bothered by it. He's annoyed by it. He's not just standing there and like unaffected. And so that's why I'm going back to the interaction of Cyborg with the ship. There's something more that happens, or he sees something that causes his defense system to do that when it comes in contact with Superman. I don't know if it's a nightmare scene. I don't know what it is, but something is detecting Superman as a threat. and it's blasting at him, and Cyborg can't control it. So we don't know anything about that in the theatrical version. Hopefully we'll learn more about that in the Snyder Cut, and we'll understand why Cyborg's defense system is trying to attack Clark. And also, why is Clark so confused? There's been speculation that it could have to do with the Codex. That might also come in play with his resurrection, and why he's confused. We know that the Codex is the DNA of all the future, there's DNA from Kryptonians in him, in his body. What if he's getting all these different, he doesn't know who he is because his identity is he's confused because he has all these different identities in him within the Codex. I think the Codex in Man of Steel was meant to be more than just how Zod was planning on rebuilding Krypton. For that movie, yes, that's why it was important, but I think it's also going to be important in Justice League as well. And then another thing is that, okay, we know that somehow Lois is going to snap him out of it, but obviously there was reshoots in the theatrical version of how they did that. Because there's rumors that Batman is not supposed to be out there when Superman and the League are having this battle. But in the reshoots, of course, he shows up, and his plan is to have Alfred bring Lois to calm him down if things go wrong, which they do. But we know that obviously that's not how it's supposed to be, because Lois sees him, which they cut out, which we saw in old trailers, we saw in the teaser again. Lois sees him and she goes there on her own, and she probably does somehow snap him out of this. But how does it really happen? I don't know. There's obviously going to be stuff that's different. When he gets to when they go to the farm, in the theatrical version, he's still confused, but he knows that something made him go there. It was familiar. His face is not reshot in that scene. So I think that his dialogue was kept, but Lois's dialogue was reshot. So I don't think she says, "You smell good," and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Did I not before?" His face looks normal there, so it doesn't look like he reshot that dialogue, but it looks like she did. So I don't know what really happens in that part, but somehow, when he's out on the farm and Lois goes out to talk to him, he's suddenly he's suddenly himself again. So something happens. What happens that makes him snap out of this confused state that he's in? Because that's when we see the beautiful scene that they cut from that we saw in the last trailer before the movie came out. I'll take that as a yes. That whole part was clearly changed in the movie with this stupid itchy dialogue. He seems back to normal there. But how does he go from being so confused to, I'll take that as a yes because she's wearing her ring? I don't understand how that happens. Okay. So, again, this is something that I think we definitely should not have spoiled in any way before the movie comes out. I think there's going to be a lot of, if we get another trailer, maybe there will be something that, again, I think maybe is part of that scene, but not in any way spoiler information. Sorry this turned into a long video, but there's a lot to talk about for Superman's Resurrection. It has to be epic. It has to be intentional. Everything that Zack does is intentional. And so, everything is very purposeful and meaningful, what Zack does. So I wouldn't expect this to be anything short of that, especially with such an important character. Superman started this universe. His sacrifice was, very meaningful. And so his resurrection needs to also be that, which I am definitely, I don't doubt that Zack will make it that way. So let me know your thoughts below. Do you have any theories about this topic? Do you want to know how he comes back? Do you want to wait until we see the movie? Do you have any ideas? Let me know. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed, follow me on Twitter, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.